I want you to picture a front door. Not a remarkable one. A standard residential front door in a quiet suburban neighborhood, painted a color the couple chose together 3 years earlier after standing in the paint aisle for 40 minutes debating between two shades that looked nearly identical but which mattered to both of them in a way that felt significant at the time. There is a key in the lock. The hand holding the key does not belong to the woman who chose the paint color. It does not belong to her husband either. It belongs to a woman the wife has never met in person, though she knows her name, knows her face from a social media profile she has looked at more times than she will ever admit, knows the specific tone of the text messages her husband did not delete carefully enough. That woman is letting herself into the house for the second time this week. The wife knows this because she has been sitting in her car at the end of the street watching. Not out of some plan. Not yet. She is watching because she needed to see it with her own eyes before she could fully believe it was real, and now she has seen it and it is real, and she is sitting very still in her car thinking about a paint color and what to do with what she now knows. My name doesn't matter. What matters is what I did with the next 72 hours, and what my husband found when he came home on Friday evening and put his key in the lock and the lock did not respond the way he expected it to. Stick around. This one moves fast. Welcome back to Blood and Backbone, where we talk about the moments families don't put in the holiday newsletter. If you're new here, these stories are dramatized for entertainment, but the specific vertigo of discovering your home has become somewhere you are no longer the only woman with a key. That part needs no embellishment. If it's real for you too, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Let's call her Sasha. 34 years old, a project manager at a construction firm, married for 5 years to a man named Elliot, who was, by the accounting of everyone who knew them as a couple, charming and sociable and the kind of husband who remembered anniversaries and suggested restaurants and gave every external appearance of a man who valued what he had. The external appearance, Sasha had been learning over the previous 4 months, was doing considerable work. The discovery had begun the way these discoveries often begin, not with a confession or a confrontation, but with an accumulation of small things that individually explained themselves and collectively did not. A phone turned face down on the dinner table. A schedule that developed gaps it had not previously had. A quality of distraction that settled over Elliot like a weather system that would not move on. Sasha was a project manager. She was professionally trained to notice when a project was running off its stated timeline and to investigate the variance before it became a problem she could not correct. She investigated. She found what she found with the specific efficiency of someone who approaches problems methodically and does not look away from what the data produces. The woman's name was Kristen. They had apparently been seeing each other for approximately 4 months, the same 4 months of face-down phones and gaps in the schedule, and the relationship had progressed, Sasha gathered from the messages she found, to a level of familiarity that went considerably beyond casual. What she did not expect, when she sat with this information for 3 days before deciding what to do with it, was to come home on a Thursday afternoon to a smell in her own house that was not her perfume and not Elliot's, and which she tracked, with the particular focused calm of someone who has already processed the worst of the shock and moved into something colder, to the master bedroom and the specific disorder of a room that had been used and straightened in a hurry. She went back to her car. She drove to the end of the street. She waited. Kristen came out 45 minutes later, let herself out with a key that she produced from her own bag, locked the door behind her, and walked to a car parked 2 houses down. Sasha watched her drive away. Then she sat in her car for a long time doing arithmetic about what she had just watched. Kristen had a key. That was the specific piece of information that reorganized everything. Not the affair itself. She had known about the affair for 3 days and had spent those 3 days deciding what she wanted and building the plan to get it. The key changed the geometry of the plan entirely because it meant that Elliot had given another woman access to their home, the home that Sasha's income had contributed equally to purchasing, the home with the front door in the paint color they had chosen together, and that information made the situation not just a betrayal between 2 people but a violation of something that had a deed with both their names on it. She made 3 phone calls from the car. The first was to a locksmith. The second was to a divorce attorney she had identified during the 3 days of preparation and had an appointment with the following morning. The third was to her sister, who was the only person she told about any of this in real time and who arrived at the house within an hour and helped Sasha move through it with the systematic efficiency of two women who grew up in a household that responded to crisis by making lists and working through them. They packed Sasha's most important belongings into her car. Documents, the items of genuine sentimental value, things that were specifically hers and not jointly owned, her grandmother's jewelry, the photographs from before the marriage, her work equipment, the contents of the filing cabinet that pertained to her finances and her name. They did this in 90 minutes. The locksmith arrived while they were still working and changed the front door lock, the back door lock, and the garage entry lock while Sasha stood in the kitchen writing a note in the same clear and well-organized prose she used for project documentation at work. The note was not long. It covered 4 points. That she knew about the affair. That she knew about Kristen's key and Kristen's use of their home. That she had consulted an attorney and he would be hearing from that attorney's office before the end of the business day tomorrow. And that the locks had been changed and his personal belongings would be available for collection by appointment through her attorney's office. She left the note on the kitchen counter, in the center, where it could not be missed. She and her sister drove to her sister's house and ordered dinner, and Sasha sat at her sister's kitchen table and felt, for the first time in 4 months, entirely clear. Not happy. Not okay in any simple sense. But clear. The clarity of someone who has made a decision and moved through it completely rather than standing in the doorway of it unable to choose a direction. Elliot arrived home at 6:47 p.m. She knows this because the security camera app on her phone showed his car pulling into the driveway at 6:47, and showed him getting out and walking to the front door and putting his key in the lock, and showed him standing at the door for a long moment when the key did not work, and then walking around to the back of the house to try that door, and then standing in the backyard with his phone in his hand looking at it the way people look at their phones when they are about to make a call they do not want to make. She did not answer. He called 6 times. He texted 8 times. The texts moved through a predictable progression from "Where are you? The door isn't working" to "Sasha, please call me" to "I can explain" to "Please just let me explain," which is the specific grammar of someone who does not yet understand that the explaining window has closed. She texted back once, at 9 p.m., a single sentence. Her attorney's name and office number. Nothing else. He called the attorney's office at 8:30 the following morning. Sasha was already in a chair across the desk from her attorney, a woman named Vivian who specialized in high-asset divorce cases and who had spent the previous meeting the night before reviewing the documentation Sasha had assembled with the particular appreciation of a professional encountering another professional's work. Vivian had told her, at the end of that first meeting, that she was the most prepared first consultation client she had seen in 20 years of practice. Sasha had said she was a project manager and this was a project. Vivian had smiled in the way of someone who knows exactly what they are dealing with and is pleased about it. The divorce proceedings were not quick, they never are, but they were efficient by the standards of such things because Sasha had done her preparation in the 3 days between finding the messages and watching Kristen drive away, and the documentation she had assembled covered the financial picture of the marriage with a completeness that made the division of assets considerably less negotiable than Elliot's attorney initially appeared to expect. The house was sold as part of the settlement. This was not Sasha's preferred outcome. She had been prepared to buy out Elliot's share and keep it, but the negotiation produced a number for his share that was higher than the house's value to her, a strategic inflation she recognized as Elliot's attorney testing her attachment to the property. She chose the cleaner exit. She took her half of the sale, combined it with the savings she had maintained in her own name throughout the marriage, which she had done not out of suspicion but out of the financial discipline of someone who had always understood that independence and partnership were not mutually exclusive, and she bought a smaller house in the same neighborhood, partly because she liked the neighborhood and mostly because the school district was the best in the city and she had plans that she was not yet ready to discuss publicly. Elliot and Kristen moved in together 3 months after the divorce was finalized. Sasha knows this through mutual acquaintances and has no particular feelings about it, or no feelings she hasn't made her peace with, which is a different thing but close enough. The new house has a front door she chose alone, a color she stood in the paint aisle for 20 minutes selecting without negotiating it with anyone. There is one key to the front lock and it is on her keyring. There are 2 spare keys. One is at her sister's house. One is in a fireproof box in her bedroom closet. Neither one has been given to anyone, not yet, not without considerable thought and time and a demonstrated level of character that the previous key holder had been trusted with too early and had not earned. She is not in a hurry. She has a house with a door she chose and a lock she changed herself and a life she is rebuilding with the same systematic efficiency she brought to the 72 hours that ended a marriage that had been ending for 4 months before she let herself see it. Here's what I keep coming back to with this one. Sasha did not fall apart. She did not confront Kristen in the driveway or scream at Elliot in the street or post anything anywhere at any point during or after any of this. She sat in her car, gathered information, consulted professionals, made lists, and moved through the situation with the precision of someone who has decided that the best response to being treated carelessly is to handle herself with exceptional care. The front door lock is a small thing. It is also the whole story. It is the moment she decided that her home was hers, that the space she lived in was not available to people who had not been invited, and that going forward she would be considerably more deliberate about who received a key to anything of hers. If this story hit close to home for you, drop a comment and tell me what you would have put in that note. And if you want more stories like this one, I've got a new one coming this week. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you in the next story.